Let me say this before you go on, just real quick.
Go ahead.
They always give something to at least one. Okay, and this is where it starts to get, because what I do know about you is you do succumb to white comfortability.
You think so?
Absolutely. You don't have no problem making white folks feel comfortable. Me, I don't give a damn.
I love white people.
Yeah, you don't mind going out your way to make them comfortable.
Love white people.
They will put a nigga like you in position for what you're doing right now.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
This video is only being used for educational purposes solely. What's good, GATV? It's your boy Gravitating Away, back at it again. Now, it's not a lot of times that I'm a man of few words, and this clip that I'm showing you guys is of Anton Daniels interviewing Six the Goddess, and it's actually a series of different clips, but you know, I chose to help showcase this one because I thought Six the Goddess didn't let Anton off the hook with some of his controversial views. And she basically puts the heat to him when asking, you know, what is his thing about racism not being a factor? And I just thought the queen held her ground real strong. Again, I don't usually side with everyone's views. When I'm showing these videos is because it might be certain perspectives that stands out. And, you know, I gravitate towards things like that. So again, the sister really held the brother responsible for his words, and I thought y'all should check it out.
So even in your progress, even in us moving forward, the racism is always an obstacle in there in some way.
I don't see it, Six, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've ascended to some of the highest positions in corporate America. I've been able to become wealthier than the overwhelming majority of the white people in this country. And more importantly, I've seen people, even in those positions, not necessarily with regard to me, but I've seen people get overlooked because they are white in order for them to be able to meet certain criteria from people that may not even have been as qualified as their white counterpart, right?
See, I think you're oversimplifying it.
I can't oversimplify.
You're making it a matter of white person did not get this opportunity.
Well, I'm using that as an example. I'm using that as an example.
Let me say this before you go on, just real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
They always give something to at least one. Okay, and this is where it starts to get, because what I do know about you is you do succumb to white comfortability.
You think so?
Absolutely. You don't have no problem making white folks feel comfortable. Me, I don't give a damn.
I love white people.
Bruh.
Yeah, you don't mind going out your way to make them comfortable.
Love white people.
They will put a nigga like you in position for what you're doing right now. To say, okay, racism is not a thing. Look at me. They do that on purpose. Six. So you gotta look at it from bigger than just you. I think you.
But I love black people too.
It's not about loving nobody.
No, it is, Six, and I'm gonna tell you why it is.
No one loves anyone, but the only person that loves you is your kids.
No,
no one else loves you.
People adore white people. Adore me.
No, they don't.
They adore me.
Would they adore you if you didn't go out your way to make them feel comfortable all the time?
Yes. But all I said was, yo, what makes you think that you can have say so, and what happens when you just got here? And I said, well, when did you come here? He said 2015 or 2016 or something like that. And I'm like, what makes you think that you have just as much of a vested interest as you know, what's happening here?
I mean, this is just a fact. This is factual. I don't get why this is so debatable. I mean, it's just a pure fact.
Next thing you know, of course, as usual, we know what happens. They do the response videos and all of that other stuff, which I'm cool with the response videos because, you know, it just makes me more relevant. But now all of a sudden I'm FBA, which just 6 months ago, I was just hearing people talk about the fact that I'm not even pro-black in the first place. And I don't understand how anybody can say what I am or not when I got a black wife, I got a black daughter.
That's what I tell people.
I have black people working for me. The overwhelming majority of the people that work for me are black people, which that's not necessarily what I was looking for, but those are the people that I seen or rock with me the most. And so those are the people that are hired to be a part of what it is that I'm building, right? But then people will still say either I'm not pro-black or now I'm FBA. And I don't really understand the whole thing, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick your brain about it, about what you thought about the whole thing. What do you think about the whole narrative behind, when people say somebody is or isn't pro-black, or FBA, or ADOS, or, all of that other type of stuff? In a general sense, where do you think that this is stemming from? Why do you think that this is such a hot issue right now?
It's the concept of FBA.
Yeah, everything with regard to FBA. Why do you think this is such a
I think that
huge
people are searching for their niche. I think that this world is kind of upside down. I think people are searching for peace, searching for answers. I think with you, you tend to feel like racism don't exist, and I think that's when people.
Well, no,
be like,
it's not that I don't feel like it don't exist. Is that I refuse to let that be the sword that I die on, as far as preventing me from doing what it is that I need to do to create the best experiences. Because I
acknowledge it exists. I know it's there.
Because most people are just looking to feel better. They're not looking to solve for their issues and their problems.
Well, you think it's important to understand the root of a problem?
You are.
What do you mean I am?
You may be looking to do that, understand the root of the problem. But I found that men don't operate like that. And when I see men operate in a space where they're looking for validation, or they're looking for you to acknowledge it, and it's almost like, okay, I acknowledge it, now what? And they have no answers. And then they move over to the next platform and they want somebody else to acknowledge it. They're not actually doing nothing different. They're not doing the work, right? And that's the argument that I have with them. I say, okay, I acknowledge it, but then if you pro-black and then I don't acknowledge racism, but I'm doing more for people that look like you, what does it mean to be pro-black if all you doing is talking about it, but it doesn't manifest itself in anything other than you going to platform to platform?
Well, see, I think that's part of the problem. I think that the concept of being pro-black is like how much you're doing for other black people, or how much you're holding hands and kumbaya with black people, and that's not what being pro-black is.
What is it?
Being pro-black is just simply loving yourself. It's simply putting yourself first. You know what I'm saying? All races are pro themselves, but they don't have a system trying to make them not be pro themselves, so they don't have to have a name.
I don't believe that that's true.
That all races are not pro themselves?
I don't believe that people are leaning towards what you just defined being pro-black is.
Well, see, this is the thing, Anton. Even when we talk about, being successful and making moves, you don't think that it is harder for a black man? You don't think that there's things put in place to make things harder for us or hold us back? Like, whereas other men can just exist and be and build, you don't think at all that being black is not necessarily a hindrance, but that we have to acknowledge that racism does exist, white supremacy does exist, because in everything from starting a business to getting a loan, the blackness can affect all of that. So I think that's what people are saying is, I don't think that being pro-black means, I just sit and complain about racism and don't do anything for myself. You can still do things for yourself, but even in the things you do for yourself, the dust from white supremacy is sprinkled all over.
I don't see it, Six.
You didn't see how Bank of America got in trouble having black homeowners with higher interest rates, adding another tens of thousands. That's a small example. Even buying a home as a black person, you have to wonder. You ain't seen black people get their house appraised and they appraise it for lower. Then they have a white person who they get it higher. So even in your progress, even in us moving forward, the racism is always an obstacle in there in some way.
I don't see it, Six, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've ascended to some of the highest positions in corporate America. I've been able to become wealthier than the overwhelming majority of the white people in this country. And more importantly, I've seen people, even in those positions, not necessarily with regard to me, but I've seen people get overlooked because they are white in order for them to be able to meet certain criteria from people that may not even have been as qualified as their white counterpart, right?
See, I think you're oversimplifying it.
I can't oversimplify.
You're making it a matter of white person did not get this opportunity.
Well, I'm using that as an example. I'm using that as an example.
Let me say this before you go on, just real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
They always give something to at least one. Okay, and this is where it starts to get, because what I do know about you is you do succumb to white comfortability.
You think so?
Absolutely. You don't have no problem making white folks feel comfortable. Me, I don't give a damn.
I love white people.
Yeah, you don't mind going out your way to make them comfortable.
Love white people.
They will put a nigga like you in position for what you're doing right now to say okay, racism is not a thing. Look at me. They do
love
that
white
on
people,
purpose.
Six.
So you gotta look at it from bigger than just you. I think you.
But
look
I
at it
love
from just
black
your
people too.
perspective. It's not about loving nobody.
No, it is, Six.
No, it's
and I'm gonna
not.
tell you why it is.
No one loves anyone but the only person that loves you is your kids.
No.
No one else loves you.
People adore. White people
No,
adore me.
No, they don't. Would they adore you if you didn't go out your way to make them feel comfortable all the time?
Yes.
Wow. You know, like I said in my previous video, Anton is the type of dude that he be hitting and missing certain points that you might want to agree with, and there's points you do agree with. But the ones that you don't agree with is flabbergasted. I mean, honestly, it's like I've always felt like I want to respect you so much more, brother, but you only look at life through the lens of success. It's like you forget how to appreciate maybe people that are not on your level in terms of your finance, so you dismiss them. I've never been on that path, brother. I've won some, I lost some, but I keep everybody in the same realm of respect, understanding our plights ain't the same. But if you are bounded with consciousness, being humbled, being respectful, having care in your heart about who you bump into, not necessarily saying caring at the expense of you receiving respect. It's just certain aspects you could have. There's no amount of money in the world I would trade that for. You know, give me that type of person any day. And Anton, unfortunately, brother, you present yourself sometimes as someone that so disingenuously presents himself that he never worried about racism. He never worried about some of the stuff that we're all going through in this world, you know, in this Western world that I'm trying to say, you know, of the stress that we combat every day, of trying to make it. You know, everyone that comes into money doesn't necessarily say the things this brother says, man. I mean, I gotta do a piece on you about pearly things, but then again, it's like sometimes I don't know if I'm giving, you know, fuel or life to something that shouldn't even receive or garner our attention when it comes to pearly things. But for whatever reason, you know, guys like you yourself and in that space of the manosphere, you guys give, you know, bullshit like that a lot of pass. But our sister, Six the Goddess, there's also things I don't agree that she says, but I can admit that she held you to the fire, brother, in her own way. She wasn't out of control with it. She wasn't disrespectful, but she held you to the fire. And for that, she gained some respect from me, because previously to all that, I don't even get lost with all the attractiveness, all the things you guys say about her, because in this YouTube streets, I want to know, what are you bringing to the table with your point of opinion and how it reflects factual stuff. And I thought she held herself very well in front of Anton. And, you know, it just made me look at the brother like, you know, maybe different paths for different folks, but, you know, to dismiss what the average black man and woman goes through in the United States of America, again, dismissing them through the lens of a man that's made it, allegedly, because I don't know your pockets like that, nor do I watch, but to dismiss what our brothers and sisters go through out here, you know, that's not, you know, one becoming of that you say you are, a leader, you know, a motivator, you know. And I'm not one to wave the flag of racism. I don't like cheerleading that sometimes, but you would be a fool to pretend that's not a factor, you know, in certain folks' lives, you know, while trying to climb up the ladder of success. I mean, it is a roadblock that we all have to learn how to get over and not use as a crutch, like many of us in this community does. We use that as a crutch, but to dismiss it whole like that, bro, you know, Six the God has held you to the fire, man. But anyways, this was your boy Gravitating Away. I hope y'all keep rocking with me, family. I feel the energy, I feel the love. Like, comment, share, subscribe, but you know what's up. Always importantly, always keep coming back.
love, I want everything. Touch my soul, touch my heart, don't judge my mental. They told me that life is simple, been real since Papa Pimple. I saw that